everyone, it's Maki here. New mobile suits from Gundam Seed Freedom have been unveiled. Particularly drawing attention is the Rising Freedom Gundam. Naturally, given it's the protagonist's mech, its screen time in the promotional video was the longest. Today, I'd like to discuss the Rising Freedom Gundam, intertwining my interpretations and desires into our chat. The theme is Rising Freedom Gundam will definitely power up. How did you all feel seeing the form of Rising Freedom? I got the impression that it's in a state poised for some kind of power up. Some of you might feel it's a bit understated. In fact, director Mitsuo Fukuda has commented on this point. It's related to a comment about the robot spirits action figures. I'm surprised that the reservations for robot spirits started immediately after the announcement. I feel the weight of the responsibility entrusted to me by Bandai. In the face of the fact that it did not sell out instantly, I felt the need for further efforts. I think it's accurate when some fans say it seems somewhat subdued in their feedback. This time, the color scheme was chosen with the intention to present it more realistically and emphasize its presence as a weapon. In my opinion, the fact that robot spirits did not sell out immediately is a good thing. The Providence Gundam and Camphor, which were recently made available for purchase, sold out instantly. While it feels like joyful news on one hand, thinking about the fans who couldn't get one makes me a bit sad. Perhaps the Rising Freedom Gundam did not sell out immediately as a result of Bandai ensuring a sufficient quantity through their efforts. I believe that the desire many fans expressed, saying we want more units available, has been fulfilled. Moreover, the fact that the form in which it will play an active role in the main part of the movie has not been released yet is also significant. Since Gundam Seed Freedom is releasing some new information or visuals every month, I'm greatly looking forward to it in that regard too. How about the color scheme? Indeed, it has taken on a somewhat subdued color palette. Personally, I think this design is cool, but I can understand the surprise for those who were expecting something more flamboyant. But there's still room for optimism on this point as well. At an event previously held named Mecha Designer Summit, Mitsuo Fukuda and Kuni Orokawa spoke about the new Freedom Gundam's wings as follows. The new Freedom appearing in the movie has a transformation mechanism in its wings. The director proposed various interesting gimmicks. The wing transformation mechanism has not been disclosed yet. The mechanism to deploy the beam cannon has been revealed through plastic models and the like, but it has the same structure as past works. The wings themselves do not transform. It might be safe to say that there still exists a mechanism that veteran staff Okawa describes as an interesting gimmick. While there are scenes where the Rising Freedom transforms into a mobile armor form, the wings themselves do not transform. There are still hidden gimmicks remaining. Furthermore, the unveiled mobile suits are equipped with a backpack transformation mechanism. There is a substantial possibility that the wings of the Rising Freedom could be equipped on something else. Next, let's talk about such possibilities for power-ups. Let's first ponder the organization to which Kiro and the others belong in the movie. As of now, it's unclear what organization the emblem that Kiro and Lo's advocate for represents. However, there's a tiny bit about this subject discussed in the audio drama included with the remastered version of Gundam Seed Destiny, about which Mitsuo Fukuda has said the audio drama content reads into the movie. There is a scene in which Lois Klein discusses a new security organization while conversing with Luna Maria and Marin. Furthermore, it's talked about how Shin, Luna Maria, and others are dispatched as cooperating personnel from Saft. Moreover, in the novel version of Seed Destiny, there's a depiction of Lois Klein experiencing regret and firm resolve upon witnessing Mia Campbell's death. After the war in the first Gundam Seed, Lois Klein chooses to live a secluded life, akin to retirement with Kira Yamato in love. This was partly to heal the emotional wounds Lars and Kira had endured, and partly out of fear that her significant political influence might bring about undeed outcomes. However, having witnessed Gilbert Giorno's actions and Mia Campbell's death, Lois felt that these tragedies had occurred because I chose to hide and not take action. She chose to confront the world rather than flee. As a manifestation of that resolve, she returned to the public historical stage. In essence, Lois Klein exists as a figure in an official international organization, not an irregular organization as depicted in Gundam Seed Destiny. I plan to discuss how this content relates to the power-up of rising freedom. What comes into play here are treaties exchanged between nations, like the Junius Treaty. This treaty was exchanged between Plant and the Earth Alliance. Whether it continues to be effective in Gundam Seed Freedom isn't clear. However, it's reasonable to assume that some international treaty exists. I don't think we'd arrive at the mindset that says since it's a treaty from an old war, it's okay to ignore it and use nuclear weapons. If Lois Klein is involved with the new security organization, adherence to international agreements must be strictly observed. Given the position of having to present their stance to the world, they cannot use neutron jammer killers. In other words, Rising Freedom must be a mobile suit, powered by conventional batteries. Let's seek evidence for this opinion from model kit information. The description in the high-grade model kit indicates that the beam cannons stored in the wings are named Aggie. Aggie was the beam cannon equipped to the launcher Strike Gundam. Meanwhile, the beam cannon equipped to Freedom Gundam's wings was named Bellier. Bellier is an extremely powerful beam cannon, displaying destructive power comparable to Aggie with its slim barrel. Freedom Gundam is equipped with 2 of these Bellier cannons. The Bellier even had such a level of power consumption that firing just 2 shots from a test unit, modified from the gates, would shut down its power. Of course, through technological advances, the Bellier is also equipped to the Abyss Gundam. Some materials sometimes note that the Bellier Kai of the Abyss Gundam has been enhanced in power compared to that of the Freedom Gundam. However, the beam cannon adopted for the artillery specialized gunner Zaku Warrior utilized a structure that operated with a dedicated energy tank. The Bellier was not employed for the Zaku. In mobile suits operating on batteries, there's more operational experience with the Aggie than with the Bellier. Aggie has been mass-produced and equipped to official adoption machines, like the 105 Dagger. Could it not be considered that Rising Freedom being equipped with Aggie is related to it, being battery-operated? And then, we have the battle scene depicted in the promotional video. Rising Freedom is shown neutralizing the 105 Dagger with a beam saber. Comparing the 105 Dagger with the later mass-produced Winam, it is somewhat of an older model. Even in the promotional video, it is portrayed that the flight-oriented Jet Striker pack is prioritized for deployment to the Gundam. Often, it is written that depending on the pilot, Gundam can engage in combat equally with soft Zaku Warrior. And the Zaku Warrior is often described as a mobile suit that demonstrates performance surpassing the GATX series. If Rising Freedom is a mobile suit with superior performance than Strike Freedom, Kira has little reason to engage the 105 Dagger in close combat. If the objective is to quickly end the combat, neutralization should be executed through multi-lock-on and simultaneous use of weaponry. There is no reason not to execute the tactics used against the Zaku Warrior and Gulf Ignited when facing the 105 Dagger. Of course, other reasons could be considered. The combat is taking place in what appears to be an urban area. Kira, feeling that stray bullets could harm innocent bystanders, might have chosen to engage in close combat. It is depicted in the audio drama that Kira and Shin have a close relationship. It would not be strange for Kira to sincerely ask Shin about what happened to his family. In the novel version of Sea Destiny, there is a description that says using beam weapons will superheat the surrounding air. These might be the reasons for not using high-output beam cannons. What do you think? Next, this might be something where opinions diverge on whether it's a valid point for reference. When Strike Freedom's beam saber cuts through parts of the Zaku Warrior and Gulf Ignited, there is no depiction of the armor melting. It appears to be severed in a very short amount of time. In contrast, the 105 Dagger's arm, which is cut by Rising Freedom's beam saber, is depicted as having its armor melt and liquefy, which can be interpreted as the beam being in contact for a longer time. Of course, it might be that such an expression was used simply because the production side of the TV anime was very busy. However, if you take the expressions used in the visuals as the official interpretation, it could be considered that Strike Freedom's beam saber has higher output and can sever targets in an instant. Lastly, the fact that the joint part is not gold like Strike Freedom is also a curious point. There is a track record of adopting gold-colored phase shift armor to provide flexibility, which is close to human mobility, in order to accommodate Kiro's piloting skills. Wouldn't it be natural to think that the non-gold joints of Rising Freedom indicate the lack of excess energy due to not using nuclear power? Of course, it could also be thought that advancements in technology eliminated the need to adopt gold phase shift armor. Today, we've delved into the possibility that the Rising Freedom operates not on nuclear power, but through a battery drive system. To add another point to the information, there's the aspect that powering up is commercially desirable and increasing saleable Gundams is a welcome situation for Bandai. Thinking in that light, the possibility of a power-up seems quite high. In Shah's counterattack, Emma always switched from the Legacy to the new Gundam. In the Gundam 00 movie, Setsuna's Sei transitioned from the 00 Razor to the 00 Qantas. Even as a tradition in the Gundam series, the protagonist switching mechs is one of the delightful events. Considering that pre-orders for plastic models and figures have already begun, isn't it likely that Rising Freedom might follow a power-up method, such as changing its wings to something else, changing the wings and replacing joint parts with gold or more flamboyant colored components to express a power-up might be commercially desirable. How do you think the Rising Freedom will power up? There might also be a possibility that the special weapon Rising Arrow will be equipped. Let's meet again in the next episode of the program.